Hey, good morning, everybody. I am your host, your KevinlyFather. This is the live stream. So here's the deal. I am moving today. I am moving, it seems like every day. Moving households. I have a place to live. Kevinly daughter has a place to live. Everybody's been taken care of. If you missed the announcement the other day, the good people who've been allowing us to use their lovely abode, they decided to sell because they're greedy, selfish bastard whores. And also great. I'm just kidding. They're wonderful people. They've decided to sell the house. So we have until the end of the month. We have places to be. So hello, Crack Queen, or Cake. I'm just going to call you Queen. Cake Queen. Hi, Chuck. Hi, Tracy. Hi, Joanna. Hi, Jane from Montana. I heard that there's a lot of voting issues up there. Lots of evidence with 6% of their votes missing. That's what I heard from Trump yesterday in Montana, which he won by like 40 points. So here's the deal. I have to eat something. I have some salad that I made yesterday, so I'm going to eat that salad. And I always, hi Deidre, hi Tracy, hi Chuck was first, Christopher was first. Well, hi Christopher. Hey Phil, Marcy. So I always like to check out anything with our friend Stephen Miller. He just fascinates me. He's an egg that speaks, and every once in a while one of them will say something that makes sense. He seldom does. I can't recall a moment where Stephen Miller said something that wasn't completely dripping with vitriol and hatred towards I don't know who. Hey Cindy, Stephanie. How are you not hungry anymore? I have to force myself to eat. So I've been working outside in the garage, moving things in the garage today. It's supposed to get to 97 here today. I know yesterday in Seattle it was 100 degrees. In Portland, Oregon, it was 108 degrees. I've spent a lot of time in Portland, Oregon. It has never gotten anywhere close to 100 degrees. That's Death Valley temperatures. Do you like my tiara of hair on top? Tracy, good to see you. So the West is suffering from a heat wave right now. I am currently inside, and what I've done is I've saved some of my inside packing because the inside has air conditioning. So I'll be pretty much putting together the outhouse studios today. I will keep the desk that I'm on and the computers so that I can cover stuff. So I owe you guys an apology, and I don't really. I did you guys a favor by not covering the Trump rally yesterday. Apparently, it went on for quite a while. I had hoped to go to a wake, a Jewish wake, which they call Sitting Shiva. It was a celebration of life of a brother of a friend of mine. So I thought it would be good to go and pay respects. That ended up lasting several hours, and I don't regret a minute of it. I had wonderful conversations. I had a nice conversation with his father as well. Here's the thing. He was a young man in terms of, he wasn't in his late 80s. My friend's brother. And cancer took him. So be good to people while you're here. Enjoy, right? Just be nice. And he was, from everything I know about the young man. And when I say young man, I don't know, 62 maybe? No, 56, 50, 57, I think he was. Whatever it was, he wasn't old enough to die. He wasn't old enough for his parents to bury him. Nobody ever is. So just be good to each other. So I got home. I got home emotionally exhausted, and I could not handle a Trump rally. I took a couple of minutes and looked at what Asen had posted about the rally, and I couldn't. So maybe we'll cover that later today. I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe we'll cover it tomorrow. Again, I have to get this place emptied and cleaned. I am Kevinly daughter and myself. We're going to be cleaning the outhouse. We're going to be cleaning the main house as part of, they've let us be here since the middle of pandemic. So nothing but gratitude for these wonderful people. who own this particular abode, and I hope that it sells for $500,000 over asking, which is what places are doing right now in this area, which is crazy. Speaking of crazy, let's take a look at our friend Maria Bartiromo and Stephen. I almost said Hawkins, but no. Excuse me, our friend Stephen Miller.
Joining me right now is the
looks like you've got volume. Let me know if it's too loud, too soft, or whatever. What I hear in my ear is different than the volume that you guys hear.
founder.
Oh, and as a warning, I'm doing this right now because this is my time to eat, so I have to sit down. So I thought I'd kill multiple birds with one stone because we hate fucking birds. Am I right? It's a strange expression. Why were they killing birds hundreds of years ago when that expression came about? Why? Why are they killing the birds? Were they the blackbirds that ate the pie?
Of America First Legal, Stephen Miller, who has sued the administration, saying that
the blackbirds were baked in a pie. Somebody baked a crow pie? These are the things that you accept as a child that you never realize.
President Joe Biden's American Rescue Plan discriminates against white farmers. Stephen, it's good to have you here. Thanks very much for being with me. Does the Department of Justice's lawsuit have any merit?
No.
Okay, so the Department of Justice has sued Georgia for passing voter rights restrictive acts. It does things like you can't give out water to somebody standing in line. How is that racist? Well, because in black areas, and this is statistically proven, in areas with high black concentrations, they spend longer standing in line because there's fewer polling places, fewer ways for them to vote, etc. They tend to spend, they tend to not to vote absentee as often. It makes absentee voting more difficult. That's not necessarily really racist. It's just stupid and costly. They take away ballot boxes. They take ballots and ballot boxes and put them inside libraries, etc., polling places, which kind of destroys the point of the ballot box. The ballot box is there so you can just go by at your leisure and drop off things. It makes it difficult. Poorer people, people at the lower end of the economic spectrum tend to work hours when polling places are open, and so moving the ballot boxes inside takes away their ability to use the ballot boxes because they don't have the availability to do that. Things like, and this is just dead on racist. Oh, we're expanding early voting, they're saying. Oh, okay, great. But you're not allowed to vote on Sunday mornings, which is exactly when black folk go to church and then march to the polls to vote en masse. It's called Souls to the Polls. Because, I mean, that rhymes. You got to go with that. Thank God for English. So souls from church to the polls, you can't do that anymore in Georgia. They've taken that away. Vote almost any time, except when the black people vote. That's what we're getting rid of. And again, if you want to look at this, the 14, 24 states, or however you want to count it, that are passing these what could be viewed as voter suppression laws, making it more difficult for voters to vote, to do their constitutional constitutionally given right. It's only happening in states controlled by Republicans. And traditionally and currently, the Republicans don't enjoy a lot of minority support. Minorities in general, especially African Americans, support the Democrats. That's in general. But to the point, 92%, 92%, black females, 98%. So these laws all being passed in Republican states. So the Department of Justice looked at it and said, well, these are unconstitutional. They restrict the right to vote. The Department of Justice's job is to protect the right to vote. Especially when it applies to equal protection under the law. That's the 14th Amendment. So they went ahead and sued. It has plenty of merit, but as our friend Stephen Miller points out, no, it does not.
It's a completely political lawsuit for the sole purpose of trying to erode election integrity in this country. One of the most...
The election in Georgia was the most secure in history. The election in all the states was the most secure in history. Georgia had 2 dead people voting. When all the dust is settled, 2 dead people voting. Georgia has survived multiple multiple recounts, including hand recounts, including signature verification counts in certain counties. Georgia was extremely secure. They did find some votes that weren't originally counted. They counted those votes. Biden won the state by just under 11,000 votes. I should say around 11,000 votes. That's why Trump said, you got to find me 11,000 votes. This is a way to suppress 11,000 votes.
Alarming trends that is happening and has been happening in recent years is the left's use of law and law enforcement as a political cudgel, a weapon against their enemies. What distinguishes...
I think he just said the opposite of what he meant, and I'm sorry, I'm going to be eating while we do this. You've been warned. I know at random you hate that, so sorry, or just don't watch. Let's just listen to what he says, because Stephen Miller contradicts himself in regular speech all the time.
One of the most alarming trends that is happening and has been happening in recent years is the left's use of law and law enforcement as a political cudgel, a weapon against their enemies.
Okay, not really English, but he's saying it's alarming that there's the less use of law enforcement as a political cudgel. That's a bad thing, but it's a good thing that there's less usage of it. Again, the words he's using don't really make sense, but that's what I can glean out of that. So he's just argued against himself. This is why I love watching Stephen Miller. I find it so entertaining.
What distinguishes America historically from failed states, from third world countries...
I know! Slavery. No? Inequity of wealth. No? What's he going to say? Let's find out. I'm sure it's going to be slavery.
From authoritarian regimes is the idea that the law is a neutral instrument, wielded only for the purpose of delivering justice. What you're seeing right now is this Department of Justice.
That's actually one of the things that make us unique, except all the other democracies. So yes.
Attacking an extraordinarily modest election proposal again.
Did he say the left's use? Because I heard less. Let's go back. Joanna may be right on this, and I have headphones on. Joanna's probably listening in her little ear suppository, so she might have heard better. Let's go back. I may be you, and I'll stand corrected or sit corrected in this case.
No, it's a completely political lawsuit for the sole purpose of trying to erode election integrity in this country. One of the most alarming trends that is happening and has been happening in recent years is the left's use of law.
Could be lefts. I think you're right. I stand corrected or sit corrected, Joanna. I think he's trying to say the left's use, but it comes out as less. Okay, so moving on.
Make it easier to commit fraud in an election. What you're seeing right now is this Department of Justice attacking an extraordinarily modest election proposal, again, only for the reason of trying to make it easier to commit fraud in an election.
No, not that. I know what he's saying there, and that is not correct. That is just simply untrue. You can't make things easier if it was already that way. And again, you didn't have massive voter fraud. It wasn't an issue. All of these laws are solutions in search of a problem that doesn't happen.
Yeah, Jonathan Turley was on...
One of the problems with most of the Fox shows, including Maria Tabarter, is there's an analog hum that goes on all the time. And I don't know why. This has been months, ever since coronavirus, and they started working from home. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but I can hear it in my headphones. And it makes it difficult sometimes to hear the speech. It gets so loud. This, the entire time that she's broadcasting. And I don't know why they won't fix it. It's a very simple filter. Let's go back and listen to it.
Attacking an extraordinarily modest election proposal, again, only for the reason of trying to make it easier to commit fraud in an election.
You hear it? It's very pronounced in my headphones. Yes, Jonathan Turley did defend Trump in the impeachment trial. What one of his impeachment trials?
Yeah, Jonathan Turley was on Fox News with Fox and Friends yesterday. He says, I'm highly skeptical, and I think they may ultimately regret this move. It could indeed clarify the issue in a way the Biden administration does not want. Where does this go? Do you think?
But again, the way it's supposed to work is a president doesn't tell the DOJ what to do. It is a wholly independent branch within the branch, the executive branch. So Biden, this is not a Biden move. This is Merrick Garland's decision.
The DOJ loses this lawsuit? I mean, tell us how this plays out.
Well, I'm confident they will lose it. I don't think there's any chance ultimately. I could be wrong, but I don't think there's any chance.
I'm confident. I don't think there's any chances they lose this. I mean, I could be wrong, but they... Right.
That they could be successful, given how utterly frivolous and meritless this attack is on Georgians' voting laws. All around the country, what you're seeing is states rising up and insisting upon common sense election rules to ensure the principle of one citizen, one vote.
Yeah, that would be the Electoral College going away, and that's not what happens. And that would also be getting rid of the Senate. That's not what's happening. But not allowing people to give out water in line, that's not common sense. This is Georgia. It gets hot in Georgia. It gets Portland hot in Georgia. I'm sorry, I'm being disgusting. I think something just flew out of my mouth. But again, I'm busy today. This is all I got, kids. At Random says, it continually astounds me that what bothers your ears about her show is the background noise. To me, her voice completely dominates and it's awful. Yes, she can't change her voice, but they can easily fix the analog hiss. That's a simple fix.
The idea that you should have to show who you are to vote. The idea that you should have to prove your identity to vote. And again,
yeah, you do when you sign up to vote. But in Georgia, they now want you to prove who you are every time you send in an absentee ballot. They want your great-grandmother to take a picture of her driver's license and then upload it to a website, if she has a driver's license. So they want your grandma to have access to a computer, a cell phone, that she can transfer to the cloud, and then take that off the cloud, put it into file format that she can understand, render that up to the state, which will then be eyeballed and visually inspected to verify that it's her, even though she's been voting for 65 years without incident. That's what they want in Georgia.
And the irony here is that Georgia's law is arguably the most modest, the most incremental of any of the legislation that's been put forward. Georgia still has a ways to...
That is not irony. That's just sad. But yeah, it was one of the first to come along. Georgia was one of the first to pass the entire package with Brian Kemp signing it because of the Land of Freedom reigns. And Trump yesterday said that they might be better off if Brian Kemp was never the governor, if Stacey Abrams was the governor. That's how much he hates Brian Kemp, because Brian Kemp would not overturn the results of the free and fair election. That's what this is really about. This is about Trump.
Go towards establishing anything resembling real election integrity.
Yeah, I mean, we spoke about this yesterday on the phone, and you made a point to me about what has happened in terms of soft instruments in the economy versus hard instruments in the economy. And you say already we're seeing, and we got used to soft instruments being hijacked, things like education and Hollywood, hijacked by the extreme left. Tell us what you see happening here in this country, whether it be the attack on voter ID or critical race theory being taught in our schools, Stephen.
Yes, it's all connected. So you saw when President Trump was in office, for 4 years, he was mercilessly, unjustly, outrageously attacked by journalists, by academia, by entertainment, by the financial power structure in this country, all of the entities that wield soft power in this country. Not formal power, but soft power. But then you saw something else, which is the instruments of hard power. For example, the Department of Justice, the law enforcement power in this country. State law enforcement power being wielded solely for political reasons against our president. And what's happening, and this is what I was alluding to.
This is not against the president. This is against Georgia. He's not the president. He's the former president, Stephen. He's not the president right now is Joe Biden. Nobody is wielding this power against Trump because he's not the president, Stephen Miller. Just again, maybe I'm Joanna, do you want to take a listen to this? Am I getting this wrong? Did he just call President Trump the president? Go.
Of hard power. For example, the Department of Justice, the law enforcement power in this country. State law enforcement power being wielded solely for political reasons against our president.
He's not our president. Donald Trump is not our president. Is Biden being sued by the states or by the DOJ? Is there something I'm unaware of?
And what's happening, and this is what I was alluding to earlier, this is the slide into authoritarianism, is when the instruments of hard power, whether it be critical race theory in the military, whether it be...
Critical race theory in the military is hard power.
Solely politically based prosecutions and investigations, whether it be law enforcement being turned...
Okay, but if there's crimes involved, it's not solely based in political. It's if there's actual crimes, if there's evidence of actual crimes, it's not political. There's crimes that have been committed.
Turned into a tool of left-wing agendas. All of these things threaten liberty in a very fundamental way. And the scariest thing of all, in this steady encroachment, the march of the left through our nation's institutions, and again now past academia, past journalism, into real hard power in this country. The scariest thing of all is that our nation's top elites, the wealthiest, richest, most privileged people...
Is this going to be about the Rothschilds? Is George Soros involved in this somehow? Is that what's going on? Mr. Stephen Miller? Let's find out. So it's a Rockefellers. He's going to go for Rockefellers or Rothschilds. He does say threaten. Yeah, he says the D's a lot. He says all of his T's like people say water.
This country are financing the attack on America's institutions.
It's the illiterati.
Historically in this country, our wealthiest citizens, the Rockefellers, the Guggenheims, the Astors, the Carnegies, whatever you may think of them as individuals, they loved this country, they loved its institutions.
Oh, now they're the good guys.
They loved its laws, they loved its heritage. They would never have dreamed of using their wealth and riches to try to demolish it. We now have people at the highest levels of society, including our big tech corporations, that are actively working to destroy the country, opening its borders, preaching radical critical race theory, undermining law enforcement, undermining the rule of law, aiding and abetting radical prosecutors that let criminals go. It's a terrifying...
I don't know how Mark Zuckerberg is aiding and abetting radical prosecutors. I do not know how that happens.
Situation, to be honest with you.
And you have an example of that from some of the richest people in the world, right?
Oh, good.
Who do you point to in terms of one example?
Well, I mean, for example, you just saw Mackenzie Scott Bezos give billions of dollars to mostly nonprofits that are left-wing in nature, including one example of a nonprofit whose stated goal is to get rid of cash bail. Now, who is that helping? You have a person here who is...
The people who don't have the cash to pay for bail because they're innocent until proven guilty? Is that a trick question? Seems pretty simple.
One of the wealthiest people in the planet. And they're taking away safety, they're taking away security from working people who don't have guards, who don't have gates, who don't have walls around their homes, who don't live in palaces.
Okay, so we need to get rid of bail altogether then, is what he's saying. That anybody who's out on bail makes working people unsafe. Therefore, the only way to keep America safe is to get rid of bail, the concept of bail altogether. Once you're arrested, you're guilty until proven innocent in a court of law. That's what Stephen Miller is saying. Meanwhile, democracy and authoritarianism and all the other stuff, right? Because of the Rockefellers. Hi, Ruth.
Everyday working people, black, white, brown, of every race, every ethnicity, every religion, every stripe, they don't have that protection, and you're taking it away from them so you can live feeling like, oh, look at me, I'm progressive, I'm virtue signaling. And
they don't have that protection, so you're taking it away. The protection that they don't have. Okay?
You're taking away from people who don't have a fraction of what you have.
Yeah, it's a good point. We're going to...
By definition, every single person on the planet has a fraction of what she has. That's how fractions work.
Talk with Devin Nunes coming up. He's launching an investigation today into corporations that are working with communist China and against the values of America. And we'll call out those companies coming up. But
I hope the Trump Corporation's on there.
Turn now to the border. We finally saw the vice president show up. Here's what she said yesterday. Watch this.
You got to figure out what caused it to happen, which is why, after taking a leadership role on root causes, one of the first trips I took was to Guatemala and Mexico. America's priorities, again, as a neighbor in the Western Hemisphere, focusing those priorities on the actual root causes. You can't just react to a problem without solving it at its roots.
So I want to get your take on Kamala Harris at the border.
He's laughing. He's shaking his head and laughing. Why would you want to solve the root cause of the problem? You don't do that. You treat the symptoms. You don't treat the disease. Come on.
Just tell you my sources in
We're having a good laugh about it. Look at him. Fix the problem?
Paso, because we went there a couple of years ago, told me that she actually did not go to the border. They took her, the closest she got was the land port. And one other source told me that now the Biden administration is asking certain Border Patrol chiefs to resign. And my source told me that one of the chiefs requested...
Who's he? He's Stephen Miller. He was one of the few policy advisors to President Trump that made it all the way through the administration, was never fired by Trump, and is loyal to Trump to a very serious fault.
Should reassign.
Just a bootlicker. There's no other way to... Well, I mean, there's lots of other ways to describe him, but that would be succinct.
Because he was forced to do so by the current administration. They told him either reassign yourself or retire. So we've got a whole host of retirements coming up at the border. Just to point out this news nugget that my sources are telling me that the Biden administration is trying to get out with the old and in with the new, and asking current Border Patrol officials to resign. Your thoughts?
Yes, I mean, they're forcing out, as we speak, two of the highest-ranking individuals in
Allison, I don't know what you're watching. Right now, I'm wearing a Sonic shirt. If that's what you're watching, that's real time right now.
BP and Border Patrol, whose only crime was wanting to follow the laws of the United States. This is political retaliation against law enforcement officers for simply trying to uphold their oaths and perform their duties as the Constitution requires. Let's just cut through all the nonsense and get right to the heart of the issue. Vice President Harris is not trying to secure the border in any way, shape, or form. Her objective...
That's just simply not true. But go on.
And President Biden's objective is to destroy the border, to eliminate border security, and to facilitate the mass entry of illegal aliens.
That is also not true.
This is simply provable by the fact that they dismantled every single policy President Trump had in place.
Not true. Not true at all. Title 42 still exists. That came into being during the Trump administration. They got rid of Remain in Mexico because that was making Mexico take responsibility for our responsibilities. And the undocumented, the unaccompanied children, nothing has changed. Nothing. The policies are all still the same.
That stop.
The only thing that changes is to remain in Mexico. Now you get to remain in the United States. Why is that a good thing? Because when you claim asylum and you remain in the United States, now you can work. I don't know if you've noticed this, but a whole bunch of people on the right are complaining that they can't find people that are willing to work for $7-8 an hour. Well, you got a whole bunch of people coming to the country that are more than willing to work for $7-8 an hour. And you're mad.
Illegal immigrants.
I mean, can you imagine people working in a restaurant that only speak Spanish? Oh, the horror. For those of you outside the country watching right now, most restaurant staff are Spanish speaking. That's the way it works. At least in California, Washington, Georgia. Last time I went to New York, that was the case. Immigrants make up the people who work the low-end jobs. A lot of them, anyway. 60% of the people who work in agriculture are immigrants, documented or otherwise, in this country. And when you pass harsh laws against them, like Georgia did a few years ago, what happens is that the peaches rot on the trees. They don't get picked.
That stopped asylum fraud, that protected our border. They did that on purpose. They did it by choice. They did it by design. And so the question we have to ask...
Yes, they did it on purpose. They did it by choice. They did it by design. Those are all the same thing, Stephen. But it makes you sound smarter that you have your own little thesaurus in your head.
Ask ourselves, as a nation, is this.
Well,
if the executive branch willfully violates the Constitution of the United States, the requirement to take care the laws be faithfully executed, what is the remedy? I would suggest to you that our...
Well, that would be impeachment and or the 25th.
Courts have an affirmative obligation to enjoin this lawless conduct and to require that...
I don't know what an affirmative obligation is. Is there a negative obligation somewhere in your head, Stephen?
This administration to follow the laws that Congress has enacted. Period.
Was President Trump's
and enforce the laws. That's the executive branch.
Is it a help to get Kamala Harris there? Do you think that's one of the reasons that she made sure she was there?
It is the only reason that she went to the border. And let me make one other very brief point. We keep talking about root.
What is? What?
Was President Trump's visit a help to get Kamala Harris there? Do you think that's one of the reasons that she made sure she was there?
It is the only reason that she went to the...
Well, Kamala Harris has been saying she was going to go to the border since March. April, May, June, so 3 months. She's been saying, I'm going to go to the border. But okay. It's because our president is now going.
The border. And let me make one other very brief point. We keep talking about root causes. There is almost 8 billion people in this world.
There are almost 8 billion people. It's plural. Times 8 billion.
Almost 8 billion people in this world.
Did he just repeat that?
It is the only reason that she went to the border. And let me make one other very brief point. We keep talking about root causes. There is almost 8 billion people in this world. Almost 8 billion people in this world. Many of those people would economically benefit as individuals from coming to the United States. What are we going to do? We're going to turn the entire world into a thriving middle class so nobody stands to benefit from coming to the United States? Nobody stands to benefit from getting free American welfare, free American taxpayer dollars, free American education, free American health care?
That would be great if we could do that.
That is such an insane concept.
Right. So why are you talking about it? Who is saying that? How about we help countries get to the point, which largely because of American colonialism is where they are, and climate change, which, by the way, we are the biggest cause of climate change. How about we get countries to the point, historically, how about we get countries to the point where they're not so destitute that they think it's a good idea to send their kids by themselves to the United States. How about that? Is that too much to ask? Yeah, we want to make them all auto workers in the union, so they're middle class.
It is so intellectually dishonest, disingenuous, unserious on every level. But the reality is, Vice President Harris doesn't believe it. She doesn't believe it for 1 second, nor does President Biden, nor do their staffs. They came in with a goal to dismantle border security, and that's what they're doing.
All right, we had 180,000 apprehensions at the border in May alone.
Yeah, and 112,000 immediate expulsions. So that leaves what, 68,000? 68,000. You've got a certain percentage of that that's unaccompanied minors. You've got a certain percentage of that that are legal asylum seekers that we need in this country in order to do the work, because we have 9.3 million open jobs. 9.3 million open jobs. We need these immigrants. But okay, no, we don't care about small business owners in the economy.
That doesn't include all the gotaways. Stephen Miller, great to get your perspective on all of this. Thank you so much. Stephen Miller joining us this morning in this.
Oh, that was wonderful. Who's next? Who else we got? I don't know who that is. Somebody talks for a long time. She couldn't. I'm still not done with my salad, so let's just check in on Devin Nunes.
Next stage of our ongoing investigation has been ongoing for 10 years. You know, that we spent the last year looking at the origins of COVID and whether or not China could be responsible. We released that a month ago. We've been actually...
It's the oranges of COVID?
Building this investigation for a while, and the sectors we're going to look at are fairly broad and very concerning, and the American people should be concerned. Where it's not just the things you've heard about, like sports and entertainment. There's also sectors of the economy like technology, agriculture, pharmaceuticals. So we're going to start with about a dozen U.S. entities that we're going to investigate. Probably we'll reach about 4 dozen by the time it's all over with. We'll be notifying those companies this week.
This seems insane because it is. They're going to be investigating corporations who work with China. Okay? That's everybody. China makes the products Americans use. I don't know. Trying to find something that's not made in China. This is my coffee warmer upper. It is made in China. What else have I got here? This is my voice recorder. It's my voice recorder. It is illegible. I can't read it. But you see what I'm saying. This is my microphone. This is a Shure SM58. This is the most popular microphone used in any type of recording. And it doesn't say where it's made. So there you go. I think I've proven my point.
Hopefully they will participate in this investigation, because the Republicans here in Congress, in order to do real oversight, we need to be able to get into the weeds to truly understand what are those supply chain concerns. I think that's what former Attorney General Bill Barr in that clip that you played was referring to. Should these corporations really be relying on supply chains and Chinese influence? And what does that do for the United States of America? It could, I think, really put us in national security danger. In fact, I know that's the case.
You have some interim findings that we've spoken about, and you say that China is manipulating and coercing U.S. businesses and that it is exploiting U.S. financial services companies. I want to show this graphic of the CEO of Nike, who made a comment about doing business in China to his Wall Street analysts. He said Nike is of China and for China.
All right.
Look, Nike is obviously selling in China, and it's a big portion of its business. How are you going to convince these global companies that doing business and rolling over for the Chinese Communist Party, sharing information that is proprietary, is against U.S. national security interest? While they're making so much money there, they want to sell all their wares to 1.4 billion people. They see this as an enormous growth story, Devin.
Well, look, the way I view the Nike CEO, quite frankly, Maria, is that at least he's being honest, right? At least he's being honest. And I say that only somewhat sarcastically. How about all these other companies that are sneaking around? Like you mentioned, these financial companies that are making it.
So it's okay? Nike's okay? Because the right is calling for a boycott of Nike.
Investments. How much money is going on pension, U.S. pension funds, teachers' pension funds that are being invested into Chinese companies that are using that access to gain and get a hold of the United States technology, for example. So the Congress has never looked down at the U.S. entity level. I think this is a really important investigation. It's something we've been building to for a long time, and I think it's going to be fairly illuminating for the American people. And look, the challenge here is we have to ask ourselves, why are the Democrats not participating in this? We've been running this China investigation essentially by ourselves for a decade, and they continue to ignore it.
Well,
Well, Trump was best buddies with President Xi, so you've been running this for 10 years. Do you not know now? Do you don't have your answers yet? Not that much has changed, quite frankly. This is all about the oranges of COVID is what this is about. That China's the bad guy, and President Trump makes millions of dollars off of China, so I'm not really sure what any of this has to do with reality. Remember, in 2017, President Trump took, I think, $20 million in assets out of China. As president. We still don't know the full details of what that was all about, but it was some kind of secret account or something. I don't know. It's like not even worth looking into at this point. He's not the president anymore. President Trump is not our president. Anyway. Yeah, people get trademarks in China as well, but that's actually not unusual. You have to get your products trademarked in China if you want to make them or sell them in China, and so yeah, that's standard business practice. Is it hypocritical? Oh, yeah, of course. But is it unusual? Does it mean something's crooked? No. However, when your father is the president, should you be completely divested of any sort of business in China? Yeah. Yeah, you probably should, because much of what President Trump did was having to deal with China. So yeah, Jimmy Carter sold his peanut farm. Sold his peanut farm because he didn't want the appearance of impropriety or any conflict of interest. Again, Jimmy Carter sold his peanut farm. That's what presidents are supposed to do. Donald Trump had a table full of blank pages, which he kind of sort of divested himself of the blank pages. They wouldn't let the press look at any of the pages. One of them did, lifted it up and was like, there's nothing on here. And they were all brand new folders, by the way, because in business, you always rotate your folders out to be brand new anytime you place them on a table. Anytime you're piling papers on a table, what you want to do is take all those papers out of older folders that might be a little bit dog-eared, put them in brand new folders, and put them on the table. That's it. Look at all these papers. Just the absurdity of it. From the very beginning. All of it, guys. Okay, I gotta move stuff. Thanks for joining me, guys. That's all the time I have today for nonsense and politics. Maybe later in the day I'll broadcast the Trump speech. I was reading some of the chat. Looks like some of you are interested in the Trump speech. Like I said, I apologize last night. I just didn't have the emotional energy to deal with it. I don't think I'm going to have the time to deal with it today. I can't show you guys around the room, but oh yeah, I can. Watch. This is what's going on in the Outhouse Studios right now. So that stuff all has to go. That stuff has to be packed and go. All those tripods, the studio lights. That should be easy. That's got a handle on it. This is the closet in the Outhouse Studios. There's all that stuff has to be packed up and gone. So I've certainly got my work cut out for me today. So hopefully in the next couple of days, I'd like to get all of this out of here today, depending on the temperature. But if it gets to 97 degrees, I might decide I'm going to stay inside and clean or something. So the plan is to get this out, and then the next couple of days, just do some cleaning, etc. Once everything's out of the house. By the way, if you ever want to give your cat a good time, empty out the main house. Well, like you guys have guest houses. If you empty out your house and just let your cat explore. Leave some boxes in there too, right? The cat will have a wonderful time. Like for hours, the cat will just go around the corner and look, and things have changed, and jump into boxes and jump up on shelves. Oh, Kevinly Kitty is loving all of this stuff. And yes, we're moving. We're out at the end of the month. 114 in Portland, Shelly? Holy schmolies. That is insanity. 114 in Portland. My God almighty. Okay, guys, so stay cool. At random, I know you're up there in Seattle. I know it was 100 degrees yesterday. So get all your air conditioning going. Stay inside, stay cool, stay hydrated, and stay sexy, America. We'll see you probably tomorrow. Maybe the next day. I don't know. I know I've been shirking on my duties lately. I get it. But in my defense, literally my world is being turned upside down. There it is. There's my world. Oh, that reminds me. I got to take the green screen off the ceiling too. So that's what I got going on right now. Plus, I'm out of salad. So there's that. Guys, take care. Have a good one.